Ladies and gentlemen, professors, lecturers, gurus, namaste. I wouldn't know the difference between a good lecture and a bad lecture, for I've never done that. I've just spoken to people. And all that I've learned has been extramural, outside the walls of the ones, like the ones I see here. So I've come here as I had gone to my 8th standard annual examination, unprepared. And that was the reason I was a high school dropout. But here I see no such peril. I presume you're all good hosts. So if I fail, you'll still be nice to me. Talking of my learning, it's all been rag-picking through the intellectual garbage that abounds in society. Not that I'm talking ill of my feeding ground, but there are many professor friends of mine who say similar things about university education. But then for me, from the other side, it looks greener. So going back to the old adage, the grass is always greener on the septic tank. Okay. Now that I've said equally good words about you and me, we're all in the same soup. So let's learn to swim as I have. And if you have any particular questions about strokes, let me tell you, because I learned it all on my own. I envy you guys because you have it all on a platter. I would have liked to be here, but I didn't qualify. I was a bit slow. What would take you about 4 or 5 years has taken me 25 years. That's what happens when you don't have an agenda, an academician looking down on your syllabus, looking at your syllabus, and probably looking down too. Some of my professor friends say they're very unhappy the way the country is being educated. It is definitely a change from the Machiavelli times where we were only creating clerks and babus for governmental use. We've come a long way from there. And if you're wondering why I've not hit the title I've been given, I told you I didn't come prepared. So I'm not going to use the cliche of hitting the title that's given to me. You ask me questions which is pertinent to what you think is the title, and we'll take it up from there, because that's how I learned, through questions. So this is going to be a learning experience for me. If you have questions, please do ask. I spare you lectures if you've heard enough. Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, sir. I'm Gautam from first year, and I'm very thankful that I'm in the same stage where you are, at least in the same room.
So am I. Go ahead.
It's not, and it's like they say, with great power comes great responsibility, and you being so old, I mean, to your, if I'm allowed to say that by measuring your experience in such a young field, that is the Tamil industry, what do you see as a responsibility that's been bestowed on you, and how do you think you'll guide this?
You've seen some of the Tamil films, Hindi, even Telugu.
I'm a Tamilian.
Tamilian. Okay, let's start with where it hurts you. You say, talk of responsibilities. You've seen the film. Do you think we are responsible people at all?
Yes.
You look at our films, we are irresponsible. That's what comes through them. One or two guys raise a voice in between to make us seem responsible. Yes, there is a responsibility. There is a civic responsibility as much as it is there for a pedestrian. It is there for an actor, a filmmaker too. But we seem to have forgotten in pursuit of working for money bags. I know it is a management school, and I must talk to you about compromises and how to manage. You don't have to compromise. you still can make money. I'm a standing proof.
After seeing some of your movies, ranging from Appu Raja to Chachi Charbis, and I thought that someday if I get opportunity, I will ask, and this day has come. I never thought of it.
Go ahead.
And the question is, how being immersed in so many roles, which demands different sort of emotions, how an actor like you can remain in his authentic emotions and feelings?
It's exactly like how, sir, you lecture, you handle sane people like these, and then maintain your sanity too. So, and it's very, very simple. I think the characters, though people believe I live in them, I don't. I rent them out. The space is rented out. I just walk into them, live happily there, but not ever after. I walk out. Yes. Sir.
So you said you've learned by swimming in the chance of toughness and all. You've had very varied experiences. Could you share any one experience that is very close to your heart, which you've learned, like you had to be really stern on what you wanted, and what did you learn from it, and what took you ahead?
Okay, you took the simile of swimming, so first survival advice, don't gulp. It's bad waters. So you paddle, keep your head out of water, but don't go with the flow, because you don't know if there is a falls at the end of this flow. So try to reach the bank and choose your bank. It's difficult. Nothing is going to be easy. Eating and defecating is as difficult. Sorry, we're getting into the cesspool, so I'm getting into the mood and getting into the character. So what I'm trying to tell you is that what will happen? The worst is that you don't swim well, you'll drown, you die anyway. So give it that full throttle and reach out to your chosen bank. That's the kind of spirit you have to. Some of you must have read the last lecture. One need not be on the verge of death to get that spurt. On the verge of life can give you equal amount of spurt like that. In my business, yes, at 21 I thought of killing myself, because I thought I am a lonely genius in this world, bereft of it. Bereft of such commodity called genius. But then gravity is a good teacher. Sort of, however big your wings are, it makes you land at one time or other. So I landed fortunately at around 23, 24. And I found a big crowd of similar people wanting to slit their veins. And they didn't. They are my friends even today. Not all of them are in films. Some of them are teachers, some of them are poets. A few of them are in the forest. The police are looking for them. But they are idealists. They are what they thought they were. But they are not alone. That's what I realized, and that's the turn in my life. Thank you.
Sir, this is Krishna Prasad from Chennai. Needless to say, now I'm Mahabaram Rasigan. I have two questions for you. Like India is a powerhouse of talent. There is so much talent in this country, but why do you think we're not able to make the kind of movies that are made in Hollywood? This is my first question. Second question is, today if you see Indian films, many of them are made purely with a commercial purpose. Like just because call sheet of an actor is available, just because you need to make masala movies with complete disregard for script or screenplay. People start making movies. What's your take on this? And do you think this is healthy for the Indian film industry?
Do you think just masala is good for health? It can't be. It's just a ingredient, an additional flavor to the food. How can you forget food and feed the customer only with masala? It can't happen, and people will throw up throw up new ideas. I know I'd like to keep this less nauseous than it's getting to be. So what I'm trying to tell you is that instead of shouting down at my peers or looking down on them, I tell you what ails them. This country, you said, is full of talents, but it's also full of followers. What we need are leaders. And what we need to understand is we are the lawmakers. We don't have to look up at the parliament or at Delhi to make our laws. Our voice will become law. It has. Look at that Gujarati gentleman. I'm a great fan of his. That's because I'm thinking ahead of my times. I'm talking about Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. That man is an important hero for me. Not because he's a Mahatma. I have already stripped him off the halo around his head, disrespectfully hoisted there by people with political intent. I am a man, and I look at him as my peer, and I imagine what I would do if I were in his shoes today. And that's what I'm doing within my chosen small spectrum called cinema. If you think I'm arrogating myself to be something as big as Mr. Gandhi, why not? Who knows? There are 20 Kamal Haasans and 10 Shivaji Ganeshans sitting here. And throw in a couple of Amitabh Bachchans and Americans. We don't know. So why should you belittle yourself and look up at the dais? I like this arrangement of the dais. It's below you. So I came here. You're going to face the same thing. You're going to work for money and churn out masala. With total disregard to your civic duty, you will be manufacturing defective baby food, and you'll be aware of it, and you won't know when to stop it. There is a time, and you'll know it. Prepare yourself. You want to sell out? You can. There are people to buy you out. But do you want to sell cheap? Or do you want to buy yourself a new conscience? Well, honesty is a luxury most can't afford. I have managed to eke out some money to be honest most of the time. And I know I've deviated from cinema, but then how can cinema be any different from any of the chosen companies you're going to run? It's going to have the same problems that I am facing. The same content development is going to be lacking in many of the companies. Just because we wear suit and ties doesn't mean we have upgraded ourselves to the modern world. We still have to understand what tolerance is all about. We talk about it, but none of us are tolerant. So all these things, the society is the peer pressure. It's not your friend sitting beside you. The society in general, the older generation, younger, your son will become your peer and your pressure. And I have many such things in my films. Sometimes when a discerning audience asks me questions about, why did you do that? I mean, it's a sort of cheap way of saying what you have to say. It's unintelligent. Why do you do it? And when I say that I have this problem of reaching out to the masses, I'm lying. I'm just covering up for myself. It's because my money bag tells me I don't understand it. He's stupid. He did not learn his trade, but he wants to be in this trade. That is the problem that every trade will be facing. The man with the money does not think that he has to educate himself or even know what he's dealing with. He says, money, Lakshmi alone will do. And since Saraswati is Lakshmi's sister, she'll come along. I mean, anyway, I'll meet her for a festival. They hoodwink that particular area. And that's why, sir, I suffer as you will. And that's why, sir, I fight as you will. Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, I thought someone was dubbing for you. Yes.
Sorry about that.
Because you've got too much testosterone to sound like that. Yes, lady.
I'm extremely glad to be seeing you here today.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have a couple of questions. Like, the first thing is, what is the one motivating factor that actually kept you going?
Oxygen?
In this very challenging film industry, like where you have so many hurdles and so many times where you feel like giving up, but then there should be some light that, actually makes you go towards it. So what was it?
Light at the end of the tunnel, you mean?
Yeah, what was that?
I don't take tunnels. I'm claustrophobic. I climb over the mountain and land on the other side. It's tedious, mind you, ma'am. I don't take tunnels. I climb all the way, but you get a good view of what's around you.
And one more question. So your movies are so unique and so different. So what helps you generate these ideas?
Why it's unique?
Yeah, like what is the source behind the uniqueness of your films?
I don't know. I have a unique family and I have unique questioners. I want to face them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Wow. Okay. Yeah, lawyer. Let's leave it. But that describes everything. So why add a suffix to it? Okay. If you think that I planned or schemed anything in my life, I didn't. But later on, after 22 or 23, as I told you, from the vein slitting age to the age of dawning, it was about 2 years. And till then, I think I just was fighting ghosts in my life. And I wanted to become a dancer like Mr. Uday Shankar. That was my aim from my 12th year. It kept changing. Then I threw my gumuru, as we call it salangai in Tamil, into the sea, and I thought I'm done with it. Because nobody respects me. This is not the way you treat an artist. You can see a bit of that in films like Sagar Sangamam that I've seen. I was so disillusioned with the world, I thought I had wasted nearly 6-7 years of my life pursuing an art which will never be respected. And then I said, okay, let's put something of what I've learned to use, and I joined the film industry again. I joined Christian Arts and Communication Center and started propagating Christianity for money. I believed in Christianity as much as I believed in my own religion. I'm a rationalist. So I went there for the 120 rupees stipend, but that was a great experience for me. I learned about Christianity. I learned about, in retrospect, I started looking at my own religion. All this was helpful. Above all, it gave me the connection to enter into cinema. I'm very grateful. I'm not, my idea of being a rational does not exclude people, human beings. So they were very nice people who sort of took me in the direction of films. When I went into films, I was an assistant choreographer, dance choreographer. So it is not my ambition which took me there. I was there and my boss became a director in films. It was his ambition which drove him, and I became an assistant director. Then suddenly I realized I have a dream which I'll pursue as passionately as I did my dance. I wanted to be a filmmaker. And I pursue that dream even today. In between, I became an actor and then a star. I didn't plan any of it. And that is thanks to my mentor, Mr. K. Balachandar. Thank you. I will tell him when I meet him that by the mere mention of his name, I raised an applause. So I would have done it gladly any time for him. But so when I told him that I want to pursue, now I have the money I want, what do you want to become? I said, I want to become a director. He said, you want to come to the studios in an auto rickshaw or a taxi? Become an actor. You are already a director. I see that in you. You can become a director whenever you want. But the stardom that is endowed upon you doesn't happen to many people, even talented ones. So pursue that, build yourself a house, and then make a film. Become a director. You have all the time in the world. And that's what I pursued. I took advice, which I rarely do, but I took good advice. Sometimes what you think is my success, I consider as failures. So it's a point of view. People think Sakalakala alone is a grand success. It made you a star. But it only made me a star. That's my complaint. I wanted more. More. And that's why we came towards Nayakan, we came towards Apurva Sahodarargal, and towards Tevar Magan. These were all attempts to reach my goal under my terms. So the failures are there, many. People say my Anbe Shivam is a failure. I refuse to accept it. And yes, it's failure because they premeditated its failure. The producers thought it's not worth it. They've stepped on something that is undesirable. That's what they thought, halfway through the film. And we had to fight that, but we didn't sulk. We continued with the film, and some of you here might even like it, I think. See, these are the people I trusted in. This is where I bet my money on, and they don't know where to bet at all. They bet it on a star instead, me. And I bet it on multiple heads like yours. And it worked, because people talk about it. When I'm dead and gone, they'll still remember Anbe Shivam. So, when you say, sir, about failure, the best thing you can learn from a failure is when you look at it without bias, not with financial or political. What are the personal mistakes that you have contributed to the failure? Because cinema truly is a democratic art form. You can't do it alone. It's not Van Gogh slicing off his ears in dissatisfaction. You'll have to slice off many ears, because many heads have gone into the making of a film. So you can't take the credit of the success of a film single-handedly. Even Chaplin, even Mr. Orson Welles, they all had the supportive struts which kept them in place. The same applies to me. So when you talk of failures, it's not about telling who did the mistake. Where did we go wrong is how I'd like to analyze my failures. That's pertaining to cinema. If it's about my bank balance, or that's a personal failure, that's a different thing. That I'll have to look at it in a different form, that I'm personally answerable, or my personal life for that matter. Those are different, but it's a long secret. It's like, how are you a successful man, or why are you a failure? And when did you actually become an alcoholic, or when did you learn to speak your mother tongue? It's a long-winded story. You'll have to start from the first letter that mother taught you. What I could succinctly tell you is that we did it before the times of CG. So nothing was easy. Most of it was in camera. And some of it was typical magician sleight of hand, or in this case, sleight of legs. So, so that's how it is. And what you suspect we would have done, we wouldn't have done it at the moment you suspect of it. It would be done elsewhere. That's the trick. It's like showing this empty hand and quickly hiding the stuff with the right. It's very simple. I'm very sure one of you guys here could sit and design another Apu. It's very simple, basically. Sometimes the best ideas are so simple that you don't have the guts to do them. That's all.
Sir, Dinesh here. She introduced you with so many awards. You've accomplished so much. But still, what is that driving force that keeps you moving? Like, have you ever sat back and felt that I've done it all and I have nothing else to prove? What is that?
That won't happen. I think with Alzheimer's, I'll still remember that I have something more to do. So I don't think I would ever feel that way because I started late, as I told you. Those kind of satiation comes when you think you've already done something. That's why I'm very scared of degrees, because that gives you a sense of having completed something or acquired something. That's untrue. I want you to truly understand when you leave this college, you're just starting out to learn. And that's how I feel today. And that's what is keeping me going. And of course, my bank balance also drives me to it.
That was what I was hoping, and all of us were hoping to listen from you. Thank you.
Oh, then I'm such a expected answer giver.
That you will keep continuing in what you do best.
Thank you. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Sir, here.
Yes.
Sir, I am Prabhu from SOM.
Yeah.
And I am from Chennai. I am your fan from 1983, the year I was born.
Okay, you didn't have to go into that. You didn't have to go into that, but anyway, that
I have three questions for you.
I came to act when I was 3 years old, so we are about 3 years apart. Okay, tell me.
The first question is, of late, I've seen your mentor's interview, Mr. K. Balachandra. He told that you once asked him to remake his earlier movie, Avargal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he was telling that you always think much ahead, like 10-15 years. So the taking your film Vikram, which released in 1980s, I personally feel that that's way advanced during that part of time. But do you think that, or do you have any idea of remaking your or any other movie in future?
No, we don't remake it because it is advanced, and nobody can be ahead of their time. We can just be in time, if at all. But I don't think anyone could be ahead of one's time. I think that's pompous, too pompous a thought. Yeah, you could be ahead of an ill-informed group, but you can't be ahead of your time. You're such a captive of your time. So when Mr. Balachandra says, I think that I take it as a compliment and say thank you. But then he shouldn't be here either, because he should just about make his entry now. He was about 15-20 years ahead. And that's fine. I think that's a point of view, thinking that you're ahead. No, I think both of us are not ahead of our time. We're just about in time, hopefully.
And my second question is, some months back, in Ayarthil Oruvan's trailer release, you told that in Tamil industry particular, you need to do the planning more.
Yes.
The auditions, etc. So that you can finish off your shoot part very easily.
Ji.
And you also mentioned in that function that you are planning to implement the same in your coming movie, Manmadanambu. So have you practiced that in this movie?
Yeah, it doesn't need a drucker to say that you need to plan your movies. I mean, everybody has to plan their thing. Even a trip to Colaba, you have to plan. If it's raining, it's not raining, going out to the mall, to film, everything is planned. So why not a film? My question is, if you have a play in your school, in your business school or anywhere for that matter, you are willing to spend about a month to rehearse a play which will ultimately cost about 5 lakhs to put up at top level, 10 maybe. But for a film that costs about 20 crores or 15 crores or 40 crores, who's that star who can arrogate himself to say, I'll come to the spot and I'll get the hang of it and hit the ball to the right corner? I think that's stupidity, ignorance, and that's what I was trying to point out. And that's what is happening in the industry. I'm not making fun of just the Tamil film industry. Look at Bombay film industry. Even some of the Hollywood stars think they can pull it off. Just because they had early life training in method acting and other things, after some time you become complacent. That never happened to Chaplin. McCarthy had to throw him out of the country to stop him from working.
One final question, sir. This is on behalf of your Orkut official community. When can we see Olaganayagan and Isaignani's combo back?
Oh, anytime. We are brothers, so it's a question of the money bags wanting to
Thank you, sir.
do
Thank
that.
you.
I still continue to be Mr. Ilayaraja's fan, and he is my number one Indian music director who's alive. Period.
Sir, this is Madhavan here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is in connection with the theme of the avenues, that is change, evolve and sustain. Like you have been in the industry for 50 years. So what kind of change have you seen in this industry over the years? In particular in the Indian industry, and in the future, what kind of change are you expecting?
See, there's nothing as permanent as change itself. That's permanent. You don't move towards change. You move with change. And it's happening every time. And to quote my favorite man, MKG, is that don't ask for the change or shout or agitate for the change you want. Become the change you want. So when you evolve into the change, sustaining is going to be easy. If you are changing because something has changed, you have to train yourself. You have to learn to ride the bicycle. Suddenly one day, and it's going to be difficult. Scrape knees, off balance and stuff. But if you evolve with the cycle, know that it's going to come. You won't even know when you learn to ride the thing. That's how we learn to walk. So the change, look at our life itself. When I asked you the question of do you remember when you learned your mother tongue? That is evolving with the change and sustaining it. We become faster and faster and faster. And we think we've reached the limit, and then there's somebody who speaks faster and more sense than you. So it's a constant process before Alzheimer's or any of the debilitating stuff hits you. I'm bored, as much as you are. So I'll have to do something. And when horses are bored, they do something called wind sucking. They keep moving their head back and forth. I don't want to do something that stupid, so I don't do wind sucking. I think of something sensible, the kind of film I would like to see. I put myself in your place and say, that's a bad idea, come up with a better one. And that's what I do. And about experimentation, everything, the next step you take is an experiment. You don't know what kind of puddle you're going to land in. So that I don't believe in this word called experiment. It makes it too scientific. It has nothing. It's probing. And we are all so blind that we'll have to probe as we walk.
Sir, here.
Yes.
So, I'm Karthikeyan. I'm from Chennai. I'm a great fan of yours. I'm going to ask the same question which Madhavan asked you in this film Anve Sivam and Asin asked you in Dasavadaram. Do you believe in God?
No.
Okay, but you said you were promoting religion, Christianity, and you still believe in it.
I used to wear diapers. So are you blaming me for that?
Okay. Sir, I have, excuse me sir, sir, I have something to show to you, which was...
Is it God?
No. Sorry.
Oh, worse.
This is a
It's
poster
me.
which I made
Thank you.
Kamal Haasan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. the lack of method is my inspiration. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I know there is a method to any kind of madness, but don't advertise it so much because you lose the spontaneity. I know there is a method to your management also. That's what you've been taught. But don't ever let it curb your spontaneity. Your learning is a skill. It has to be used, but it cannot be bereft of your sense. That's what you're special for. All that you learn here are your tools. That's what I can say from my experience. So many. So I can't say Zubulski. Do you know him? How many know him? So I promised myself I won't die like Zubulski. Zubulski is, and you can't call Chaplin a method actor. I'm a great fan of Buster Keaton. I'm a fan of Peter Sellers. And he's a formidable actor. You must see a film called Tea House on the August Moon by Brando. He plays a Japanese. Why would I not do so many accents in my films? I was trained by these actors for free. I like Stanley Kubrick. He's no actor, but he shaped the actor in me, the way he deals with his actors. I'm a great fan of Hitchcock. For him, actors are cattle. That's all he thinks of them. But doesn't matter. But what a great farm he has. Beautiful farm, the best in the world. Like Mr. S.D. Burman is dead, R.D. Burman is dead, so I'm not bringing their names. But otherwise, he ranks in that. We should be happy that he's alive also.
Good evening, sir. This is Rupin. It's an honor to share this space with you. You're legend in your own field. Currently, I'm feeling a lot of vibes from you. Being so close to you, you have having a lot of positive energy. This question relates to your childhood. I would like to ask something about that. Whenever we speak of legends, we see that they, from their very starting, they show their inner talent. We see Sachin Tendulkar, he stands with a bat when he was 5 years old. When we see Michael Jackson, he's dancing from 12 years old. So today you are a great legend in your own field. So what? Can you describe something about your childhood? Did you feel a kind of something growing within you when you were 10 years old, 12 years old?
Oh yeah, my lung, heart, everything grew in size. And no, without ridiculing your good intent, let me come to the point. There was quite a list of questions there within that. So let me say what was that. I hated the word legion because it makes it so untrue and makes it sound like a yarn. No, legions are made. A lot of stuff is added on to what actually exists. So let me bring it down to ground zero, and not the American one, to ground zero, and take it up from there. What did I find in me as a child? A good family around me. That was important. And when I say a good family, I'm not talking about pious, God-fearing. It didn't matter what they were. They were a good family. They were nurturing in nature. Unfortunately, it also happened that I happened to be a very late child of my father. He was 50 when I was born. So that made me a grandchild. And my brothers became my fathers, actually. And my father was my grandfather. And that's why I make a film like Hey Ram, because I am stuck in a time warp. I understand 1940s and 50s better because I've heard stories about it, so much of it. So I'm able to look at today from that point of view, which gives me a vantage position to look at it. So if you're talking about what inspired me, it's a family. My sister is a great classical dancer. So it was peer pressure that I had to do something equally good. My brother was, apart from being a lawyer, after finishing his law, he went to do his MA philosophy. It's a bit wonky in the head to do such a thing. But I liked it. He's my hero too. And my other brother went into business. He quit law and went into business totally. He's a businessman even today. He never one day went to the court except to collect his sanad, as they call it. And that's it. And these are the kind of people who peopled my life. And they were all encouraging. And they were, it was a different kind of, my eldest brother was an atheist. And a loudly proclaimed one. So was my uncle. And my uncle was a union leader. So you see where Anbe Shivam comes from. So Nalla Shivam comes, a bit of it from my life. This is what I know. It's because of my village that I came from. Suddenly I was thrown into the urban situation, not when I was 20, but when I was 3. So it didn't, sort of the culture shock was not there. It was another playground for me. So I graduated. What was a culture shock was not even America. Bombay was for me. I suddenly realized this side of the Vindhyas behaves, talks differently, and this side of Vindhyas is different. And my respect for Mr. Gandhi grew multifold because he managed to unite this parochial, warring faction, probably 56 factions, I don't know how many were there. But it's very difficult. If you want to know something about management, know about this man.
I have a question.
I'm Puneet from School of Management. I'm not from Chennai, but I'm still a big fan of yours.
Thank you. Thank you.
My question to you is, in India today, on one side we have film stars who make crores for even one movie. And on one side, we have people who struggle to earn even like 2 meals for a day. How do you think these film stars can bridge this divide? Or for that matter, the film industry can help bridge this divide? Like set up a film studio in a village, or like, is that sort of thing possible?
I think this is a bridge which will be work in progress for another 500 years. This bridge, the construction of this bridge is what conceived communism. Marx and Engels wrote Das Kapital with the hope of bridging this. The work is still in progress. It's not done. Some people are fighting with guns. Some people hide in the forest. Some people are bringing it in the form of democracy. I don't know how many of you, I'm in the front seaters, would know. How many of you know about Gandhian Marxism? There was one stage. Mr. Ram Manohar Lohia wanted to sponsor that kind of, much to the chagrin of true-blooded communists. But this is a bridge which needs to be built. And that's what it's going to be. Not all of you in this room are going to be driving a Mercedes-Benz, believe me. Some would do it because they are lazy. Some would not be able to do it because they are lazy. Some because they think they are unlucky, but not have enough fight in them. And some, I can't even explain the theory of chaos at work, but doesn't matter. And some would have chosen to be without a Mercedes-Benz. And those are the heroes I'm willing to salute today. Kamal Haasan. Any day. Yeah. I know it didn't fully answer, but that's the truth. A message? I started with that. I said I'm a high school dropout. Yes? Okay. Now we are getting very parochial here. Yeah, but that's okay. Come. Okay. Even Rajini and I get into that fight. Yeah. But that's a healthy one. I hope you have a healthy fight. Similar alphabets, but look at the words, what they form. But only similar. We are not the same. There's a K. There's no J in me. You know, it goes like that. But compare Brando and John Wayne.
A picture, they say, is worth 1,000 words. And we know books have changed society. Do you feel, sir, that pictures, cinema, has changed society?
Pictures have changed society right from the time of caves. The caves in France are proof enough. The first hunt was very important for this series of other generations. The Cro-Magnon man must have benefited from it. Or we don't know. We don't know if the Homo erectus ever painted at all. Probably he did. So the pictures make a lot of impact even before language. So we only made it more mobile, perfected. We added a little blur to it, and even in digital cinema, we still have to add the blur to make it comfortable for you. And pictures are, yes, but now the multimedia platform, the convergence of all the platform is going to make this all look into one form. Pictures, words, it's going to be like a person. The media technology is going to become like a person. So you're not going to say, I met two pairs of eyes and a mouth and a friendly ear. You just say, I met so-and-so. I think technology will reach a position where you will be able to say, I met an idea. I just saw an idea. Or I just experienced an idea. It's going to happen because I sincerely believe that entertainment tomorrow will dip into your own gray cells, not into ours. We will just be manipulators working with your gray cells, your memories, your colors, because ultimately the customer is right. So how right can we be in trying to manipulate it? So we leave it all into your head and start playing with your head. We already do.
Something like Inception?
Yes,
movie?
Could be. No, but this much before Mr. The director of the film decided to make films. I've been thinking of this idea. So this is a pet idea of mine where you get into the minds, which is, I mean, I'm not talking in terms of dreams or just a hypothesis, but I think you can. There are certain researches going on in neurotechnology where they are able to get into the mind. Right now only with monkeys, but then it'll also happen to Homo sapiens soon. When that happens, our business will move. It can happen at this rate with which we are jumping. Yes, you're not tired. Okay. Well, I'm a masochist. I'd like to be an audience. I'd like to be a film critic so that I get to watch films for free. I know I'm such a single-grooved runner, but I like cinema. So there's no two ways. I'll be on the other end, if not here.
Can a person be successful and still maintain work-life balance?
Work and life balance?
Yeah. Family. You have different role with family,
depends
society.
what you call family. There is a Tamil thing, if other people will forgive me for lapsing into Tamil. It's called Yadum Ure, Yavarum Kelir, Tidum Nandrum Pirartaravara. Okay, now that I've said it in Tamil, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from Gujarat, because it came from Jains. So they came into Tamil Nadu and brought this Naladiyar. This is from Kaniyan Pungundran. And so it is possible to maintain that balance. It depends on what you think is your family. And this says, Yadumure, every place is your town, hometown, and every person is family. When you think of that way, then you won't be complaining like Mr. MKG's son, who thought he was a nasty father. But he was happy with his family. He was all the time with his family. because he thought of everybody as such. Why do you think I'm able to make such easy conversation? Because I don't think of you as audience. I think of you as persons. It's easier for me to communicate. If I have a paper and start speaking, I'll fumble. I'm talking to people, I don't. Yes, you can sit down and talk. I can. I've compromised very little. I don't say that compromise is out of the window, because I come here, I'd like to fly myself, but I don't have wings, so I settle for Jet Airways. It's like that. But there are compromises. I'd like to do things impractical. You'll have to settle for practical issues. When I say that I've stood as a monolithic figure with no compromises, it's untrue. No, they need not be compromises, not all the way. But compromises, you call it compromise or tolerance. I call it tolerance, because you tolerate a certain stuff and move on with it. If you say compromise, it seems like you're giving away. I mean, you're sagging. I don't even think of it as compromise. I would say incorporation or inclusive, to quote our PM. It's an inclusive club, where you include some more person. If you want to be an exclusive club, it becomes difficult. I'm not an exclusive club. I'm a club. I'm an inclusive club. And when I say I don't make compromises, I limit it. I limit the damage. It's like a bandage on a bleeding wound. I don't let it bleed for too long.
Sir, in one of your films, you acted with Madhavan. Actually, I don't know the title of the film, but with Madhavan, you worked on film, some Satyame Sundaram.
Yeah, Telugu. Yeah, you're talking about Anbe Shivam in Telugu. Okay, go ahead.
That was not a success, not at all a success.
Yes.
Definitely not in Andhra Pradesh.
No.
Then, how do you relate? That means, how do you think why people didn't receive that film?
It's not people. It's the business community. Because if you see some of the films which are touted as successes, they're not. Like people till day say that Sakala Kalavalon is my biggest hit or Tunga Ditam. It's not. Apurva Sodargal beat it hollow. And Dashavataram beat it 10 times over. You understand? There are certain films that are touted. I don't say that Anbe Shivam is successful. But this is what is the Tamil film is called. But it's not true of all good films, because Sagara Sangamam was a hit. Nobody can think of making a film like that. Swati Mutyam was a hit. And it was far more advanced than even Anbe Shivam. If you ask me. I didn't write it. Somebody else did. Much to my envy, somebody else did. But I was happy and fortunate to be part of that film. So you want to know more about the failure? Yeah.
That means it was good. The film was good. I felt bad seeing that film, but I felt finally it was good. I mean, I was sad to see my hero like that.
You were sad to see the hero like that.
But
there are many heroes like that. And that's why, and I wanted you to feel sad. That was the purpose. So the purpose is achieved. Yeah.
One more question. What is your next film? I mean,
next film is Manmada Nambu. I don't know what they'll name it in Telugu, because it's going to be.
They say it stopped and producers are not coming forward to produce it like that.
What?
I mean, they say the film is stopped in the middle or something like that.
No, what? I didn't hear you. No.
Producers are fearing to produce that film. I mean, it's a high budget film.
Oh, the producer sobbed.
Something.
Okay. Oh, he doesn't look like the sobbing kind. He can afford to lose 1,000 crores and not bat an eyelid. His name is Mr. Udaynidhi Stalin.
Oh, sir.
change, I'll come to the subject now, will happen with or without my assistance, or yours for that matter. It will happen. It'll evolve into a change. And nobody can hold on to hegemony. I'm coming to the point. Nobody can hold on to hegemony or to monopoly for too long. Probably they will stay a little longer than they deserve to, but it'll all change.
Sir.
The real society, yeah. No, I haven't. Let me tell you about myself. I'm not bragging, and it is not. I have never bought a black ticket in my life. I've never paid a TTR for my ticket. My tax balance is 0 arrears. You'll never find my name in the list. I've paid all my taxes. And Bharatiyudu, that's why I'm so cocky, because they can't threaten me. They can't threaten me by confiscating my wealth. I have none. I've kept myself that way because it's easy to travel without baggage. I'm like the Genghis Khan's army. Small pony, fast, very little to eat, and what I want to eat is below my saddle. I beg your pardon? You are the countermeasure.
Sir.
Don't ask me. I have told you who I am. Tell me who you are 10 years from now. If you say something very similar to mine, come home for dinner.